Hey, this is Pamela Riemenschneider. I'm the retail editor for Blue Book Services, and this is the Produce Reporter Week in Review. I'm still waiting on those cherries, but I have an update. Stamilt was kind enough to reach out to me to make sure I was on vacation. And when we recorded this last week, I was on vacation, and they knew this, and they were waiting until I got back from vacation to send me the box of awesomeness. So it also gave me time to eat the 10 pounds of peaches I picked up from the peach truck. So maybe today, maybe tomorrow, I'm like looking out the window here, watching
Speaking of
for it.
peaches, this is seasonal. I don't know. I can't say I can recommend it yet. I mean, a couple go a long way.
Now, here's the deal. I have some strawberry Shiner Bock down in my fridge. So I like a fruity beer, but I don't know if I want one from Busch Light.
Peach Bush Light. It's like mixing Bush Light and a peach LaCroix.
Oh,
Except it's a
so it
little
like
sweeter.
passed a peach in the hallway, and that's how it tastes like peaches. That's an abomination. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'll save one for you.
Well, this week we had, since I was out of town and with the holiday, one of the biggest news things we had was the tattooed chef, which I'm not very familiar with other than seeing news release after news release after news release. Super trendy, kind of a startup business. They are going out of business, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and the thing that we are bringing up here is that it is a plant-based meal company.
Yeah, it had a lot of produce-based ones. Some of the plant-based stuff we cover or sometimes pass on because it's plant-based, but it's not really fresh produce. But this one did a lot of like cauliflower pizza crust, bowls, a lot of vegetable spiral type stuff. Um, it's kind of a bad sign for this niche, I think, because it sounds like this company kind of had it together and did it well, and to see them go under with these produce based products is kind of a bad omen. I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with cost and inflation, and when you're paying for meal replacement, you want to get a lot of bang for your buck, and it's maybe not going to be all vegetables.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I think the world is finally coming to terms with the fact that zucchini noodles are terrible. Um, they, they are not delicious. If you want to eat something like that, there was a well-established produce option in the noodle category, and that was spaghetti squash. Because that's been out there for forever. Tastes great, has more of a squashy taste and less of the squashiness, if you know what I mean. If you have ever tried to swap noodles for zucchini noodles, who are you fooling? You're not fooling your kids. You're not. And if you say your kids love it, I would like to meet them, because my
I
kids
think
call
it's a
zucchini.
yeah, it's a poor substitute in Italian. I think it does better in Asian type dishes.
Yeah, something that is super flash fried, like a quick stir fry. I could see it working in, but if you're just throwing some wet marinara on there, no, it's not working out. And every time I saw it at HEB as one of those like meal simple meals, I'm like, nobody is buying this. And if they are having a sad desk lunch of zoodles with
Yeah,
wet marinara on them
by themselves.
by themselves,
Yeah.
because yeah, my kids are not eating that. My kids call zucchini imposter cucumbers, because one time I had some that I don't know, they confused them, and like a kid grabbed one off the counter and just took a big old bite of a raw zucchini, and they were like, ugh. So they will eat grilled zucchini and like sauteed zucchini, but not wet marinara zucchini. But it is sad to see something that is so produce forward go out of business, but it is something I think the industry should take notice of, and be, thinking about, when we're talking about recipe development, when we're talking about planning, are we going to see as much of the cauliflower replacements as we have over the last couple of years? Cauliflower's really had a moment. A plant-based pizza crust. Are we still doing this? It never really caught on in the Remus Shedder household.
Well, I'll be at food service later this month. I can report on how the produce trends are there.
Oh, speaking of, I will be in Monterey next week at the Organic Produce Summit. Hit me up. I would love to see all of my people. You won't be there. We won't see each other until IFPA. But that is coming up, and I'm pretty excited. And based on the social media surrounding it, the Organic Produce Summit just keeps getting bigger. People are really enthusiastic about it. I did notice that a lot of the content is talking about, they've had a bit of a downturn in organic produce sales. It would make sense as related to the economy, that they would have a little bit of a downturn. So we'll see what they have to say from the sessions about how to maintain growth in organics amid the inflation and food costs hitting people really hard.
Yeah, or at least maintaining shelf space and becoming an option for consumers still, and not allowing them to be pushed out for price reasons.
Yeah, and it would be interesting. The last couple of years, I've really paid attention to the packaging trends in the organic category, and a lot of them have trended toward fiber-based options, plastic-free options. And I'm wondering if we'll see maybe a swing toward things that are talking about shelf life instead, trying to make sure that we get our most bang out of our buck when we're buying something, and that it has the longest shelf life possible. So trends to look out for, and I will definitely be looking for them as I walk the show floor next week in Monterey.
Well, one more item I think we have to talk about, since you got your complaining about produce items you don't like. It was rough to see some bad news for Kale this week. Richard Smoley uncovered a story about how Kale has been named in an Alliance for Natural Health, which is not a produce-friendly group. They're an environmental group. But they had a report about finding forever chemicals, which are also called PFAS. So I'm not a scientist, but our story says they're poly and perfluoroalkyl substances. So
heard of it before, but I don't know the science either.
We've heard of forever chemicals. So it's kind of making its way through consumer media right now. As far as I've read, we don't even know how dangerous it is.
Right. They can detect the presence of the forever chemicals, and they haven't found a way that they break down, which is why they call them forever chemicals. I believe, wasn't it 3M that just had a $10 billion lawsuit settlement over forever chemicals in the last couple of weeks? But they've found them in kale, the forever green. If you think about greens, kale is the one that sticks around the longest. But right now, as far as the produce industry is concerned, we're not really sure what the risk posed is. So
no, we don't. And he reached out to a couple groups, Alliance for Food and Farming and IFPA. They didn't have a chance to get back to him before we had this column. Well, the Alliance said that's not really their strong suit, so they suggested we talk to a toxicologist or so. We don't really have those handy, so he did reach out to one and couldn't get a hold of them. So we'll probably follow this if it continues to stay in the mainstream media.
right.
The danger, if kale gets caught up in this, it might go back to garnish category, probably where it belongs in my household.
That's what everyone remembers kale being back in the late 90s, early 2000s is the whatever you call it around the salad bar, the zhuzhing that made it look very salady. And then we decided, hey, let's eat it. And actually, I've read some stuff where it was related to the whole reason we started eating kale was right after the spinach crisis in 2005. They needed to find something different to pivot to while spinach was having a moment in the media. And now is kale's moment over? A lot of people have started eating it. We're big kale fans in my household, although we don't eat it as often as I would like to. And I hate to say this, sometimes I end up buying a bag of it and remembering that I have a bag of it like 3 weeks later, oftentimes still good.
Yeah, well, you just put it on the counter and build something around it.
There's a great soup recipe that has it in there. But the point that we're trying to make though here is that, is this going to be the next Dirty Dozen? Is PFAS going to be another strike against fruits and vegetables? And I think that Richard reached out to the Alliance for Food and Farming, which handles a lot of the PR and the fact-based information back at these allegations against produce, and in their cases usually the Dirty Dozen. The quote that I have pulled up here from Richard's story, from this report: for more than 99% of PFAS chemicals, no data on repeated dose toxicity, carcinogenicity, or reproductive toxicity is available, nor is there an understanding of the cumulative effects of being exposed to multiple PFAS compounds at the same time. So there's no data. I'm sure the data is forthcoming. We're going to have to, they're studying it, but for right now, this kind of news is going to hit things like, the off mainstream media. What do we call those? Like the branches, the outliers, and of course, social media. So this something like this probably has legs, and definitely I think that anyone who's involved in sales and marketing at Kale needs to be aware of it, and to also point out that there is no known data on a risk.
Right. That is why we run stories like this, so our readers are aware that this is out there and start building a case like the Alliance does with the Dirty Dozen. And the science says the toxicity is always in the dose, and so that makes the vast majority safe. And this, as you point out, this study does not say these chemicals are unsafe. They don't know yet, so there's no reason to be afraid, but it doesn't mean people won't be.
I got my hopes up. Somebody dropped off a package. It wasn't the cherries, so I'm still going to be just watching out the window like this for the next day and a half. They'll be here soon. It is peak cherry season. Like everything is cherries today. But for now, that's it for the Produce Reporter Week in Review. If you are not getting the Produce Reporter newsletter, you need to go to producebluebook.com and sign up.
Almost quit time.
I mean, I've bought peach beer before, but it's usually like a peach Hefeweizen, not a peach Busch Light. Is that even beer? That's malt liquor at this point.
Oh, it tastes like beer. It's
peachy beer.
Yeah, it's just not particularly good.
I can't even remember the last time I had a Busch Light.
So 4% alcohol.